The next presentation is by Dr. Anand Jain. He's a project scientist at National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, Goa. He'll be talking about India's expanding role in Arctic science.
Okay, so if you talk about the science in the Arctic, it's too many things for me to summarize. So I restricted myself to the Indian Arctic program, and I will be discussing about what we are doing in the Indian Arctic program. So I'll just take you through the Indian Arctic program. Basically, when we think about Arctic in India, we think about NCPR. It's an institute under the Ministry of Earth Sciences, and it has been given responsibility to coordinate and implement the national polar programs, which includes Indian Antarctic program, Indian Arctic program, Himalayan studies, and Southern Ocean. Indian Arctic program, basically, if you see, started in 2007 when a team of 5 scientists led by the former director of NCPR, Dr. Risik Ravindra, went into a Svalbard region, and thereafter in 2008 we inaugurated Himadri Station in the Arctic to continue our scientific observations, and in 2013 we got the Arctic Council observer status, and this we have been listening in the morning, so it's not that you don't know. So Indian Arctic program basically is conceived to cater to the Indian scientific community, and basically we have scientific themes other than the teleconnection between Indian monsoon and the Arctic climatic variabilities. Majority of the Indian our scientific themes are in line with the Arctic Council working groups, and you can see that few of them are outlined here, like biodiversity assessment, long-term monitoring, atmospheric prediction, atmospheric sciences, aerosol, and so forth. So to cater to this kind of objectives, scientific objectives, India has been constantly investing in the capacity building in the Arctic, and one such move we did in 2014 when India deployed its Indian Arctic mooring, or IndArc mooring, in collaboration with IIT Chennai. And that is the first mooring in the offshore waters or outside the Indian waters. First multi-sensor mooring was deployed. And the basic reason for the deployment of this IndArc mooring was to cater to the observation regarding the Atlantic water mass variability and the modeling studies. Subsequently, we established an atmospheric lab in Grodbaded in Nyalesund in Svalbard region to cater to the atmospheric study, and we installed several instruments which can actually continuously measure different atmospheric parameters, and our scientists at NCPR and in India are utilizing that data to understand the atmospheric variabilities in the Arctic region. To cater to the a broader perspective and to gain pan-Arctic understanding of the processes and holistic understanding of the Arctic, India embarked on a Arctic Ocean cruise in 2019. This was done because in the morning when we were talking about, it was mainly the teleconnection. So the biologists always scratch their head that how we can connect the teleconnection and biology together. So in that we came up with an idea that when the ice is melting, it will have an impact on the ecosystem, and we are trying to study the impact of sea ice variability on the microbes and the microbial communities in NCPR. And that cruise, what in 2019 happened, we mainly focused on the microphysical processes as well as microbiological processes. And this cruise was done with collaboration with COPRI, the Korean Polar Research Institute. They gave us opportunity to go on board on their ship to the Western Arctic. So when we got the samples, basically we need to analyze those because now the biology is moving from simple culturing towards the next generation sequencing. So NCPR invested in this capacity, and we came up with a laboratory in NCPR which is dedicated to the DNA sequencing. We have both the types of sequencing facilities, first generation sequencing as well as next generation sequencing, and we are mainly using those facilities to understand the impact of climate changes on the microbial community and what will be their response to the climate change, whether it will be a positive feedback or a negative feedback. Furthermore, we also went into the, we got an opportunity with the help of NPI, thanks to NPI for giving us this opportunity to go to the geographical North Pole on board their ship, Crown Prince Haakon, and the team of 2 scientists from NCPR went there, and they could manage to collect the samples from the geographic north. The pictures what you see on your in the screen, I have circled our team members, and that picture is taken at the true geographic North Pole. So one of the another event which happened in 2022 is the unveiling of the Indian Arctic policy. Basically, Indian Arctic policy, we have been listening from the morning. I will not go into the details, but 6 pillars has been identified in the Indian Arctic policy. And in a nutshell, if I say, it is mainly focused on science and research, as well as cooperation between the other nation. And in another word, if we say the peaceful and sustainable Arctic India wants, or India wants to contribute towards that. I don't want to go into the details, as already earlier speakers have covered that. In one of the points in the Arctic policy, it is mentioned that India should strengthen the current existing infrastructure at Arctic, which is Himadri, as well as also invest or look for the other research station possibilities in the Arctic. To suffice that point, India is going to the Canadian Arctic, that is the CHARS, Canadian High Arctic Research Station, to expand our activities beyond Svalbard and to complement what we are doing in Svalbard, so that we can have more understanding of the processes which is happening in Svalbard as well as in the CHARS, so that we can understand them much better way. So basically 2 people will be going this year, and they will be focusing on the permafrost microbiology and installation of some atmospheric instruments. These are some of the projects I will be taking you through, which Indian Arctic program actually have, which are long-running programs. One of the program is the linking between Indian monsoon and the Arctic climatic variability using paleoceanographic proxies. And one paper also I have cited here, which says that Arctic sea ice decrease will lead to more monsoon in the South Asian region. Another project what India is focusing on to understand the response of the microorganisms to the climate induced variations, and to study what they will actually lead to, or what climate change, what contribution they will do. And another program which India is actually focusing is the role of migratory birds in dissemination of antibiotic resistant bacteria to Arctic. As we know, there are migratory birds in the Arctic which travels every year to the Antarctica region, and then they go back. While doing so, they carry some of the microorganisms with them to the Arctic and other places. So this project is trying to understand what will be the role and how it is going to impact the Arctic ecosystem. We are also working on microplastics in the Arctic region, and people are studying the types of microplastic, trying to identify the source of those microplastics in the Arctic region, so that we can decipher and we can control or help policymakers decide what to ban and what not to ban. And another project India is working is on Polar Net. Basically, it is an atmospheric based project which is actually trying to cover all the aspects of the polar region, like Antarctica, Southern Ocean, Arctic. And in CHARS also we will be putting instruments so that we will get more holistic picture and the view of the aerosol and the atmospheric variabilities in the Arctic region. And there are many more flagship projects. If I have missed some, maybe it will be covered in the next speakers will cover, because they will be talking about particular projects. So some of them are outlined here, like monitoring of Kongsfjorden and Kongsfjorden for climate change studies, Arctic precipitation, and so forth. So Indian Arctic program so far has contributed around 180 papers. You can see on its screen, and it is increasing with the time. I could not get that much time so that I can calculate the impact factor, but definitely the impact factor is also increasing with the number what we are publishing. And most of the papers which I have considered are from SCI journals. And you can see the bifurcation in the publications. Biology is contributing a huge amount to the publication in the Arctic region and then other studies. So actually, I want to pay tribute to my friend, my senior colleague. He is not there now, and he has immensely contributed to the Arctic program, and he was associated with the Arctic program since inception and played a pivotal role in the Arctic program what we see today. So he will be there in our memories, in our heart. And I acknowledge the Saga Organizing Committee for inviting me to talk to you, Director NCPR, Group Director, and the colleagues at Arctic Operation at NCPR. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anand, for completing your talk. And again, in 10 minutes, the next presentation.